Welcome to Toffee TV. We're continuing the season review, player ratings. We're on to the midfield. Let's get into it, Baz. Let's get into it. Let's start with Idrissa, Gueye. What are you looking at?
Okay. I don't think he was as good as what he was last season. I think the first half of Ronald Koeman's era, I thought he was unbelievable.
Yeah.
He was man of the match. When I'd done the player ratings, nearly every week he was man of the match. He was just incredible. And then he went to the African nations and come back, and Schneiderlin was in, and he struggled to find his role. So he tailed off a bit. But this season, I think he's been up and down. I think there's been games when he's been very good, unlike his old self, but then other games he just hasn't done anything, or he give the ball away too much, or again, all to do with the way the team has been as well, obviously. But I personally think he's fallen below what his level is.
Definitely,
this season.
So what would you give him?
I thought 7 first, but I think I'm going to be a little bit more critical and say a 6, maybe a 6.5, but
6, you said 6.
A 6.
No, I agree. I think he has fallen below, but I do think that he's suffered more than anybody from the changes around him.
Yeah.
But he's still a consistent player, I think. I still think he gives you a consistent level every week, and that's probably why I would give him a 7, just about. I do think he's dropped off, but I do think that he is consistent. What he does consistently. Whether people think that's enough, that's maybe a different story. But I still think that his performances are genuinely of a similar level. And that's why I would just give him a 7.
Scraping a 7, is he?
He's just scraping a 7, but I think he's been affected by the changes around him. I think when he plays in there, and sometimes when he's just in there on his own, he finds it a lot easier. But but tactically, that's sort of been taken away from him. And also, like late on the season, he was playing a little higher, almost playing as a number 10 at times. It was very, very strange.
He's not good enough to play there. It's
No.
just because he presses well.
Yeah.
But
also, he's a presser and no one else presses, and I think when you press and no one else does, you end up looking a little bit silly.
I just don't think he's just not creative enough to play in the 10.
No, he's not. So. Morgan Schneiderlin,
2.
A 2. Yeah, I'm gonna say a 2 as well.
I think last year again, when he come in January to May, looked like a Rolls Royce. We've said it many times, ticking over, looked hungry, looked like he had something to prove. Got married in the summer.
He did,
and he's come back and just hasn't got going. Didn't look fit at the start of the season.
I don't know, I can't honestly say this, but I just feel like some of our players got caught out by having to get back into action so fast and never recovered, and he was one of them. I don't know, maybe Ashley Williams was another one, but then I would put that down to how he came back. Maybe listen, don't want to make excuses for him, because I think his attitude was all wrong as well. But I think that some players, he was a player who wasn't playing for Man United, then suddenly started playing every week for us, and then maybe, I don't know, maybe some players, or certainly him, because he played a lot more in the second half of the season than he first, needed a bit of a longer break and needs to be eased back in, and being back into competition straight away in the games like against Rosenberg, you looked at him and went, you're not on this. There's something not right with your game, like your base level game, whether you're fit or not, is just not on. There's not, and he never recovered.
No.
I will say against Split away, I said at the time he had a fantastic game, I thought, because when we were under pressure, he kept the ball really well, and I thought, he's getting fit and he's getting back to what he was last season. But in the Premier League, he just never kicked on, and his performances were just woeful. And then his attitude suddenly, his perceived attitude, don't know the lad, so I can't really. His perceived attitude started to be really, really look poor. And when you need the players to dig in and fight for you, he wasn't one of them. I don't know whether that was because Koeman left or Koeman was under a hard time or what. I just remember Lyon. I just remember being away at Lyon and seeing him, we're getting beat, we're struggling, you need players to dig in for you, and he goes and gets himself sent off, and that's what he did do. Doesn't matter what anyone thinks or anyone says, he got himself sent off. He knew he was on a booking, he knew what he was doing, he knew he was getting sent off, and he back to the dressing room. Not my fault, lads, see you later. Utterly shameful, utterly shameful. And then we had the booing situation when he came on. I mean, for me, I always think that for a lot of people around me, they were booing the actual nature of the sub rather than the man personally. But each to their own. You know, if you want to go to the match and do that, that's up to you. His performances did pick up slightly towards the end of the season.
Yeah, he did.
But he still weren't the performances he'd put in, you know, when he first signed for the club. So,
I think when you're on big wages like he's on,
yeah,
and you've performed at a certain level, then it's your responsibility to get back to that level, and it's your responsibility to pick your game and do whatever you can to get back to that level. And fans are right then to call you if you don't, because he's shown what he could do last season, and it just never happened for him.
He's also on his last chance, I think, at a big English club, because, you know, he's been to Man United, didn't work, obviously wasn't good enough for them. Come to us, you know, sort of that tier below, and he's not doing it. And
he said himself if he moves he'll be back abroad, because I think he knows.
Well, he wants to go to somewhere like Marseille, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Get in the sun, chill out, but that's what he wants. Tom Davies, I'm gonna give him a 5. I think he's disappointed me this season, especially his dress sense. He dresses like a kid, is it? I'll give him that.
I've got no issue with it.
I just think he's been.
I think he's mad. But
no, he's boss. He's very individual.
No,
I'm not. It's not like a. He is. I love the fact. I do love the fact. Actually, he dresses like a student.
No, he's just boss.
He's just being himself. He's being himself, and that's great.
Yeah.
I'll give him a 5. I think when we talk about players who suffered, when we talk about new players coming in and suffering from all the number 10s and all the new midfielders, he's a player who was already at the club who suffered more than anybody.
Yeah.
Because he should have been kept in that side and developed, and he wasn't. He was pushed aside because he was young.
Easy drop, wasn't he?
Easy drop. He's played. Although he's played in the centre midfield, he is an all-round centre midfielder who's been asked to do all these different jobs, and there's been no real through line on what he's been doing all season. I mean, he's ended up he played right back, he's played left midfield. He's early on this season. I thought every time he made a little cameo, he's been great. Even all the way through the season, every time he's made a little cameo, he's been great. You know, when he's looked the part, and when he's played. When he's played, you know, I remember when he came on against Bournemouth, and I remember when he came on against Sunderland that week. Or did he start against Sunderland? Started against Sunderland.
Ran like a show against Sunderland.
And when he came on against Bournemouth, he was great. He was effective. He was trying to get as high as he can to feed, you know, the players in and dictate the play. And as the season's gone on, he's just, I don't know, his role keeps on changing, the players around him keep on changing, there's no consistency, and his levels have just dropped off. And the one thing I would say about Tom Davies, one of his biggest assets is also one of his biggest flaws, I think he tries really, really hard, and I think sometimes that's to his detriment when he plays, because I think sometimes he just needs to simplify the game and look for the easy ball. And I know that's not what everyone wants, but I think when he tries to force things too often, he gives away the ball far too sloppily, and I think that's where, as a young player, he's got to just relax and just be like, I'm going to play myself into this game. But when he's come on the pitch, you see the energy he brings, see the difference. And when he's not there, you see the difference a lot. The midfield becomes a lot more sluggish, whereas his tempo gets us higher up the pitch, and he's just got to get a manager who knows how to hone that, because he's not rubbish. No matter what anyone says, he's not rubbish. He wouldn't be in a Premier League football team if he was rubbish. He's just got to be given guidance. That's all I think he needs anyway.
Yeah, I'd agree with the rating, the 5. I agree, it's great that he's individual, his clothes and everything else. I love that. I love the fact he's not trying to friggin' act like a muppet. I think it's some of these other young footballers that you see bouncing around. I think he's had some really good games and he's had some really bad games, and he's struggled, second season syndrome if you like, he's struggled for the consistency. I think he was out the team at the very beginning when he shouldn't have been. It should have been others who were waiting to come in, you know, and blooded in very differently, like Davy Klaassen and people like that. I think we need a manager that knows how to use him properly.
Yeah,
that's what I think. And by all accounts, you know, I've done a lot of homework on Marco Silva over the last couple of days, read lots of stuff about him, and he's very meticulous and tells players where they need to be and this, that and the other. And I think that kind of manager is exactly what Tom needs. He needs someone who will help him, coach him, give him tactical information, because he's got the basics are all there. He's a good passer at the ball. Well, he tries to pass the ball forward. He's a risk taker with his passing, but you have to be to create chances, you know. He works so hard for the team. I think he's got more goals in him than he's scored for us so far. I think that's invaluable.
Yeah. But
I think he's a young footballer, and we can't forget that. We all want him to come in and perform every week at the best, you know, the best level he can. Otherwise, they're crap. They're not good enough. To this, to that, to the other. I just think he's someone we should be looking to build a team around. In and out. He's obviously, I don't want to put that much pressure on him at that age, but he's someone you want to see in that Everton side. I think he's got lots of really good points. You're right, some stuff to work on. Excuse me, some stuff to work on, but in general, you know, there's a player there. But he's had an inconsistent season. So hopefully he can go away. He's gone to the Toulon tournament. Hopefully he can go and do alright there. Have a nice break. He'll probably be in Venice or something on a gondola, or painting somewhere. And then back with the new regime, and hopefully he'll benefit more than anyone.
Hopefully, yeah. I think there's still plenty to come from Tom.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just about getting it out. Who else have we got? Davy Klaassen.
The biggest disappointment, I think, of the whole...
Biggest enigma of the season for me.
But the biggest disappointment for me, the whole thing, because when we got him, you know, scored 20 goals for Ajax, and you were thinking, well, all right, he's not going to have 20 here, but he'll get 10. You know, half of that, or 8 or something. It'll really help a player from midfield who can score goals. And I think a lot of people didn't understand what type of player he was. I think when he come in, I think people thought he was the manager for one. I think people thought he was a silky number 10 with loads of skill. I think what he is he's a good passer of the ball. I think he's a clever player. I think he opens people up with the one-touch stuff. But the question mark over him is the physical side of the game.
And does he want?
Yeah. Is he quick enough? Is he strong enough? Can he adapt? He's had a year. What's great about him is not moaned. Not moaned. Could have gone out the door in January. Didn't. Stayed. His agent, Søren Lerby, who's a very good footballer himself at Denmark, was talking the other day and said he wants to stay. He wants to fight for his place. He wants to prove himself here at Everton. And you need that. Now, ultimately, it might be a step too far for him, that just his makeup, the physical side of it, but you get a manager who can assess him, a coach, a proper coach. Not, you know, Ronald was, I want to have a game of golf, so sort yourselves out. Allardyce was putting them off to Big Sam's Villa, do whatever. So someone who will take him pre-season and go, look, this is what we want. Have a look at him, and then if it doesn't work out, you get him out the door.
So what's your rating?
I'm going to give him a 4 because very disappointed in him. I think he's done some decent stuff in an Everton shirt, but it's been sporadic. Even in games, he's done stuff but then disappeared.
Well, we only seen him for the first 6 weeks of the season, really, didn't we? So
half a game at West Ham, didn't he?
Yeah, so it's hard to give him a score, but I suppose from a disappointment factor, you know, 4 or 5 would be around what you would expect from him. You know, early on in the season, I thought there was a lot of promise there. I thought his movement was really good, and it was just a case of it. I think where he suffered from is, I know it's easy to say, well, we bought 3 number 10s, but that was a big factor, wasn't it? The other play, when we were in trouble, you go to what you know. If you've got Premier League players, you persist with them. Another player we'll come on to next, Sigurdsson, where you know that if you give him games, he'll get fit, and once he's fit, you know he's going to be at it. Whereas Klaassen, he didn't know that, and he went out the side, and then David Unsworth couldn't really take a chance on him, because David Unsworth said, I'm only picking the players I know at the moment. And then Sam Allardyce was under the same sort of umbrella. It was like, well, what am I going to do? I don't know anything about this player. I've got a job to do. I've got to stick with what I know. Maybe if other players hadn't come in and Klaassen was the only sort of midfield signing, we could have bedded them in. If we had a base level of performance where it was, we're bobbing around that 7th place, bed them in, get them used to the Premier League, get them toughened up over the season, get them used to English football. But that went out the window. We had too many toys to play with. And one of them just got lashed, and he was the one who got lashed. And it'll be interesting to see what happens, whether he comes in. He's got, for me, his biggest problem was when he was. You could see, sounds stupid, but when he wasn't on the ball, you could see his movement and his intelligence. But when he was fighting for the ball, you could see that the other players always had the physical ability to just get in there before him, get a shoulder in before him, move him out the way. Physically move him. He was never in games. He just looked lost because he just couldn't get that first touch. He could never get the ball. He could never, in the Premier League. Watch the Premier League. Watch how many times players go with the ball together, and then whoever gets it, then they've got a little bit of time and space, and then they've picked a great ball. The best players in the Premier League, the likes of Silva, at City or De Bruyne, they know they're in for a physical ride. So it's all about winning that ball with a nice first touch, getting yourself into a little bit of space, and then doing what you want with the ball. He could never do that. He could never get that first touch, and then it's not. He's not
fighting for it.
Then he's fighting, and he's like, what? You could see the game was just going. You could see it in his head, like, what is this? And he never got a chance to get up to pace. So. It is a massive disappointment, and hopefully the lad does fight for the place.
What I was going to say was and it might be key both ways, will be Marcel Brands, because he's worked in Holland for years, so we will have seen Davy Klaassen many a time, and he might look at him and go, or he might go to Marco Silva, this fella can be but he can do this and he can do that, and that'll be vital, I think, information for Silva as the manager coming in to start, without him looking himself as well, because he already said it on his interview, hasn't he? Marcel Brands has said about they've looked at players and they've looked at the squad, and so already they will have had those discussions. But I think there's a player in there, but it's the physical side.
He's got to get the physical side. Let's move on. Gylfi Sigurdsson. I think I'd give him a 7 because I think for me he's not quite got to the levels that he did at Swansea. He hasn't found that consistency in his game. Maybe if he hadn't got the injury, he would have, because I think he was starting. He was starting to come into his own. Slow start. We know. Listen, he had hardly any pre-season. He came in at the beginning of the season. His first involvement was against Man City. He should never have been anywhere near that game because he was so off the pace. It was untrue. He was so off the pace. But he scored the goal against Split a few days later, which I suppose that was the reward for that. You've got to give players a go at some point, and he picked up, and I know early on the season we had conversations, and you were like, I don't know if this player is good enough for us. But I always felt like with the fitness, it was all about getting that sharpness. I think it's so I think you can be 95% and still miles away from being.
It's because he's got no turn of pace. So he's not. So early season, early in the season, he wasn't fit enough, and he had no turn of pace. So he was losing the ball,
bouncing off him.
It was coming off him. He couldn't get away from anybody. Nothing was really sticking, and you're looking, going, you're supposedly our talisman, to try and do stuff, and you can't even keep the ball. I knew he was a good player because I'd seen it at Swansea, but it's okay being a good player in another team. It's can it affect your team, and he didn't do that until probably November time. Then he started, and when he started, then you started seeing what he had in him, and Rooney started clicking with Garn, and then all of a sudden everything looked a lot better.
Well, as I said early on in the year, on the season, I always thought the team should be built around him rather than built around Rooney. And I think as the season went on, we've seen that transgression, and it worked well for both of them. Because when Sigurdsson wasn't in the team, that's when Rooney's performances started dropping off at the end of the season. He was doing a lot of that work that Rooney was trying to do. When Rooney, the games like West Ham at home, Rooney's game was so simplified because he had a good player to pass the ball to. Once Sigurdsson went out the team, Rooney's having to start making that connection then.
Don't forget the other thing. Gylfi wants the ball all the time.
Exactly.
Shows.
But that's what I'm saying. So Wayne's always got an outlet, but when Sigurdsson wasn't in there, suddenly Rooney had no one to give the ball to, and he's having to stretch passes. And I think that people forget that kind of thing. And he played off the left at first, and we've seen rewards. His goal against Swansea was a perfect example of how he could do that. His goal against Huddersfield was massive. As I said, the goal against Split was fantastic, and his goal against Southampton ultimately was meaningless, but it was a fantastic goal. And you were starting to see little things. He would go more central at times, and it was starting to click, and it was starting to just get into gear as he got the injury, which was which mad because he played on that game and played quite well in that game. But then he's injured, and hopefully he'll be back for the World Cup. But I'm hoping for big things from him next season. I really am. He's at his peak now. With that hopefully he has games in the World Cup, he has that under his belt, and then he comes back Everton refreshed, get in the middle of the park or whatever, and start, come back fit and start showing everyone what he can do. I think there's a lot of talent in there, and it's just a case of having good players around them to get to unlock it.
Set pieces as well, we haven't seen anything from him, and he was amazing at Swansea. Free kick goals he scored, free kicks, corners. Didn't produce really when you think about it. The odd time he produced off a set piece. So I'm expecting big things this season from him, set piece wise. Getting back on it, getting fully on it, and I think having a coach like Marco Silva will make him, because it's meticulous stuff, it's margins, and I think get him back, get him doing that kind of stuff, and that all adds to his game then as well, and becomes the weapon that we thought we were getting a year ago. When remember us talking and going, well, we get a free kicker in and around the box, people are going to be worried now, seeing the one at Old Trafford the year before, the Swansea free kick, one chance.
I think when he was at Swansea, he was just like, he knew.
He was that kid in a Sunday league team that's better than everybody and takes free kicks,
and
corners,
and it was in and I think with Everton it was just that, maybe that little bit of doubt in his mind of not having that confidence in himself, or other people having that confidence in him.
Don't forget at Swansea, that 2 spells there. So he kind of knew everyone. Alright, he'd gone to Spurs for 2 years, but he knew everyone at Swansea, and he safely went back there after it didn't really work out at Spurs. He went back there. Then the next minute he's 45 million quid and he's at Everton. And it's like, I've got to prove myself here. And he wasn't fit, and Koeman went, and then so there's been a lot of reasons why he hasn't been at his very best. But you're right, he was just getting up where you looked and you thought, he's key for us now, and he went and got injured. So hopefully he'll come back strong.
Let's throw another one into the midfielders. Let's put Wayne Rooney in the midfield as well, because that's where he's played a lot of the season. Wayne, rating?
I'm going to give him 7, and I'm giving him 7 because I said to you, I'd looked at his goals and assists again the other day, because you do forget, because he basically didn't do anything in the second half of the season, he wasn't as good. And that first half of the season, absolutely brilliant. Some of his goals is the Arsenal goal at home, he shifts it and it's in the top corner. His movement for the Man City goal, the Stoke header, there's goals in there. His through balls, quite a few through balls that we score from, inch perfect passes. I thought he was being really good for us this season. He definitely tailed off, no question about it. I think you hit the nail on the head a couple of times when we spoke about it. Just simply played too much, and the Premier League is unforgiving. It's unforgiving, and he's been playing football since he was 16 at that level. Half of his life has been spent in the Premier League. At some stage, you've got to manage these players as they're getting a little bit older. Other people will look and go, you looked at David Silva and you looked at Rooney, and they're the same age, and look at it. Well, yeah, but Rooney was a man at 16. David Silva, I'm quite sure, wasn't, and was probably treated a little bit, looked after a little bit more.
Also the different styles of play.
Yeah, and you know, it is what
Silva
it is.
ghosts around the pitch. Rooney's been like running through brick walls for years.
Yeah.
And people forget when he was at Man United and when they had, you know, the 2008, which is what a lot of their fans think is their best team. You know, Ronaldo was getting all applauded, but Rooney was doing all the dog work.
Yeah.
You know, he was really playing everywhere for them and doing all kinds for them. I agree. I think he's had a lot better season than people give him credit for.
Yeah.
I think he's dragged us through a lot of, you know, through tough periods, a lot of mental pressure at times as well with the goals and situations. I think he tailed off and just mentioned it. You know, losing Sigurdsson in that midfield.
Yeah.
So you know, someone in the midfield who could get around the pitch, who was an attacking player, and suddenly having
take the ball.
Yeah, and I think his roles changed 3 or 4 times. Not being able to leave him out at times. The way we played him later on in the season, where we were playing him every game but only for an hour, and it was like, well, hang on, why don't you give him, you know, play him every other game, but give him 90 minutes so he's fresh and he can get through the whole game. I just think he was mismanaged. I mean, but when you hear allies come out and saying the pair couldn't play in the same team, and you're like, well, hang on, we haven't won a game without Rooney or without. It baffles me, and yeah, I think it winds me up when you hear people saying, you know, oh, he's been terrible this season. He's like, he has not been terrible this season.
Absolutely
he has not been terrible this season.
People who say that are people who don't like him, didn't want him back, and don't like him. You've got
Fits the narrative.
Well, that's it. You've got to look at people sometimes and go, well, he's not my favourite player, but he's done all right. You know, he's had he's scored he's our top scorer for a start.
And he didn't score, and he hasn't scored this year. So that tells you something. I think you're right, the Sigurdsson thing's a bigger issue than people, you know, would remember or would give credit for. Didn't play against Southampton and West Ham, and it shows. As soon as Sigurdsson went out the team, let's not remember when Sigurdsson was in the team, Rooney could sit in front of that back four and do his job and not worry about actually having to get forward. So he was reserving a lot of his legs like Barry used to do. The minute Sigurdsson went out that team and he was replaced by either Schneiderlin or Tom Davies, then suddenly all the creative responsibility fell on Wayne Rooney. So then he has to transition from that role that he looked like he really enjoyed through the midfield, and it was like that's where his legs started to not be able to cope with getting around the pitch, and that's where you started seeing the strain on him. But with Sigurdsson on the pitch, he could just give it to Sigurdsson and then he could just ghost.
It's like, I liken it a little bit to Schneiderlin with Ross Barkley. You know, last year Morgan Schneiderlin would go and win it, get it, just pop it off, and Ross would take it up the pitch. And this year we haven't had Ross Barkley to take it up the pitch, so when Schneiderlin's got it, everything just becomes sideways and slow. Do you know what I mean? And I think Wayne done the exact same thing. I think another manager manages him better, speaks to him, goes, look, this is what we do. I personally will be sorry to see him go if he goes to DC. I still think he's got a year left in him. I think he could offer us something. He couldn't play every week. I think if you put legs around him, he'll be sound. But obviously, you've got to trust the manager, and ultimately the manager will know. He'll look and go, I can use him because he'll bring this and this. But I don't know whether Wayne will be happy being
that's the main
playing
thing,
half the games because he wants to play football.
Right, come on, let's do the last one, and then we'll throw a couple of honourable mentions in.
Go on.
Vlasic.
5.
A 5.
A 5. I think some games you've looked and gone, good player, this kid, good. And he's a hard worker. Thought he was very good at Huddersfield away towards the end of the season. Thought he'd done really well. But then other games have just passed him by. But again, he's suffered from out for a tampon. He's in for a week and gone for a month.
I think he suffered mostly from the fact that he was Koeman liked him, and as soon as Koeman went, he suffered from the same thing that Klaassen has suffered from.
People didn't trust him.
People don't trust him, don't know him, and don't know what his attributes are. And if you throw him in for a game, you're not going. He needed a run of games, and he's got other players playing in his position. For me, he has got something, but he's not quite quick enough, and he's not quite physical enough, and he's going to have to improve on at least one of those things. Was just be a little bit more physical. He gets in situations where he tries to beat the player and then can't quite get around them. I don't know whether it's a coincidence, but the drop off of his sister on Twitter has dropped off with his performances. No, but he looks a talent. I just he's going to have to do a little bit more. He's just a kid though. He's the same as Tom Davies. He's just a kid. It's even harder for him because he's having to, come in. He was a big part of Split and what they did, and he's had to come in and ideally, you look back and you think maybe we should have just left him at Split for a year and then brought him in this summer. Maybe that would have been better, but then you never know. Then you fall in the old Talashai sort of situation where a new manager comes in and goes, who are you? So he was brought in, he got games, and
he's had some good experience though, so you've got to look at it like that. We've said a few times this season we might look back and go, well, it was a bedding season. Do you know what I mean? It was crap, but we ended up finishing 8th, and people like Michael Keane and people like that, Vlasic, Klaassen, who haven't really settled, might be better next year because of it. So 5ish is about right. Benny Beningame. I know he hasn't played a lot of games. I'd give him 6/7. I think the reason why I'm saying that is for the games he's played, his average rating is probably around the 6 because he's really good, and then other games not being as good. But there's been games when he's been very, very good. For a kid that was literally just put in the side from almost from nowhere.
Well, Unsworth,
it was from nowhere. Played at Chelsea, I know that night Unsworth said Schneiderlin would have been fit, he'd have played and all that. But Beningame played that night, didn't look out of place. And the biggest compliment that I can pay him is he's never looked out of place, ever.
Keeps it, funny enough, he does try and keep it nice and simple and does his job, gets about the pitch and then just gives it. He's one for the future, definitely. Let's move on. A couple of players we haven't seen a lot of, but we'll just mention. James McCarthy, you can't really give him anything, can you? But really disappointing that when he got that injury, he was just starting to hit a patch of form. But before that, let's not remember he'd been out injured for a while, so we don't know if we'll ever get the real James McCarthy back. And Mo Besic, we didn't get to see much of, did we? And he'll probably end up leaving the club, I imagine, but he did really well for Middlesbrough second half of the season.
They want him, don't they? So I suppose it's down to him whether he wants to play a bit more football. But
they've been the midfielders. Let us know whether you agree, disagree. Tell us your ratings. Do you if you wildly disagree with any of our choices there, let us know in the comments. Make sure to look out for the other videos. We've already done the defenders. We're moving on to the forwards, and we've also done a lot of other season reviews as well. So go and check them out. Thanks for watching Toffee TV. We'll see you later.